Teal dear, as I have repeatedly stated on this channel and across numerous videos, I do believe that all people should be treated equally under the law, regardless of things such as race, sex, orientation, etc., etc., with the exception of cases where there is a notable biological reason for doing so. Which is why I'm completely okay with the fact that I live in a country where maternity leave is longer than paternity leave, for obvious medical, biological reasons. But apparently, these days, that is not good enough. Equality is no longer the name of the game. Equity is where it's at. So come with me on a journey through the internet to a place where your faith in humanity dies. The UN report that women may need different treatment to achieve economic equality. Equal opportunity is not enough to ensure gender equality, according to a groundbreaking new report from UN Women. Instead, governments must commit to social policies that treat women differently in order to help them achieve economic parity with men. So, in other words, give women preferential treatment so that the outcome with men is going to be identical regardless of the input. And I'm not even exaggerating. We must go beyond creating equal opportunities to ensure equal outcomes, the report says. Different treatment may be required to achieve real equality in practice. This report, called Progress of the Women's World 2015 to 2016, is one of the first major international reports to acknowledge that legal equality for women does not translate into actual equality, and that governments must make substantial socio-policy changes that enable the redistribution of domestic duties in order for women to play a truly equal role in society. So, when a man and a woman live together, the UN now wants to make it the duty of the state to ensure that both of them do the laundry and the washing up. It's the global version of what Sheryl Sandberg has been saying all along with Lean In. Women will never be equal unless workplace policies adjust to fit their needs, and men need to step up to help at home. Of course they do. Of course it's down to men to fix it all for women, because women are strong and independent and capable and— oh wait, no, that's not what you're saying at all. The report highlights the gap between laws that protect equal rights for women and the realities of inequality in most of the world. Now, I get that this paper is published as a global thing. I absolutely understand that, and I get that a lot of the points that this paper makes are actually in reference to third world countries, places that do not have things like paid maternity leave, and countries that say don't have a standardized socialized schooling system. But I can so easily see this sort of report being used to justify changes in Western countries where these sorts of things already exist by using third world examples. The way to close the gap, according to the report, is by implementing social policies that provide paid work opportunities for women, protect domestic workers, provide affordable childcare, and establish paid leave for working mothers. All things that exist in pretty much every European country, in America, in Canada, in Australia, in New Zealand, and in many other countries besides. Removing legal barriers to female employment is not enough, the report says, noting that we also need measures that free up women's time. Only women's time, mind you, not men's time, because women's time is far more important. It's much more valuable than the time of men. Governments should take actionable steps to reduce the burden of unpaid care work, which is carried by women. So unpaid care work from men, absolutely fine, and create an industry of jobs and employment for services. So basically, what they are demanding is that you outsource childcare and domestic house cleaning to someone else. They want governments to force their citizens to not take care of their own children and not clean their own houses so that they can pay other people to do it for them. I only wish I was joking, because they go on to say childcare is an issue in every country, but more often than not borne by mothers. Government policy should work to professionalize this industry as much as possible and make it affordable and accessible to all. So, let me get this straight. The genius plan here is to force women to look after other people's children and force them to work for really, really small amounts of money. That's pretty much what I'm getting from this. So your plan to economically balance men with women by empowering women is to force women to become effectively a slave class, responsible for doing nothing but cooking, cleaning, and raising children, in exchange for menial wages. Well, I guess I've been approaching this equality thing all wrong. I mean, if the UN says that this is what we're supposed to do, I wouldn't want to be an oppressive shitlord by saying that women are free to choose to do what they want with their lives, that they are free to choose the careers that they want to do, and that, yes, they are free to become housewives if that is what they choose to do. But according to the UN, that isn't acceptable, because that isn't equality, so I guess soon enough we are going to see the UN mandating that women are barefoot pregnant in the kitchen in the name of equality. As long as it's not their kitchen, then it's absolutely fine, apparently. The UN is calling for more decent work for women, which they define as a job that is well-paid, secure, and compatible with women's and men's shared responsibility for children and household. So there we go. They're getting around this idea that all of these services should be affordable by simply saying that we must pay women a decent amount for it. So they want to force women to do domestic and menial work and force people to pay them a decent amount to do it. The report also says redistributing household duties is critical for achieving substantive equality worldwide. Because if there's one idea I absolutely love the sound of, it's the government being able to tell its private citizens how they run their own households. How are any of these ideas in any way compatible with the general thought that people possess this thing called autonomy and should be allowed to make their own decisions and do what they will with their lives and run them how they please? I mean, maybe I just can't see how this is all connected because I'm an oppressive shitlord, but to me, this just seems to run entirely counter to that idea. Speaking of draconian governments forcing their citizens to do things that they don't want to, firms will now face fines if they don't have enough female employees in high positions of leadership. Where else but Sweden? Gender Equality Minister, the only job in the world that you can apply for with a gender studies degree and not immediately be laughed out of the building, Asa Regner, told Swedish newspaper Svenska Dagbladet earlier this year that she believed a gender balance bill could be introduced by 2017, but she did not mention what the sanctions would be for failing to comply with any new quota. On Friday, Justice and Migration Minister Morgan Johansson told Swedish radio that there could be a number of punitive measures to ensure companies take the legislation seriously. The company could be dissolved or fined heavily, Johansson said. He suggested that any penalty payment could be related to the company's size. Whoa, hold up there, young'un. The company could be dissolved. Right, so if a company doesn't hire 40% women on their board of directors or in some other senior position, the government could forcefully dissolve your company. Welcome to 1984, please enjoy your stay. So, let's take a hypothetical scenario here. There is a small company, a care firm. It has maybe about half a dozen people running a central office, and they hire, say, 50 to 100 nurses who travel around providing in-home visits for elderly patients, an absolutely essential part of healthcare for the elderly. Now, sticking with current trends, out of the, say, half dozen people working in the office, maybe one of them is female, and the other 5 of them are male, and again, sticking with current trends, say 90 of the 100 nurses are female, and say 10 of them are male. So overwhelmingly, in this situation, the majority of the staff at this company are female. But because in the office, not enough of them are female, this company that provides an essential service for hundreds of people could be forcefully dissolved by the government, costing dozens of women their jobs. I'm sure a situation like that would go down so very, very well in feminist-friendly Sweden. And once again, I couldn't help but notice that this quota only applies to the upper echelons of management positions in these companies. So we only require, say, 40% of a board of directors to be female. We don't necessarily require a company that, say, scrapes shit off the side of sewers. No, they don't need to have 40% of their staff to be women. That's fine if 99% of their staff are male, as long as their management contains at least 40% women. Does no one else see how this sort of thing could be potentially very damaging? Because you're more than likely going to start having to hire women who maybe don't actually have relevant experience at the lower levels of that company, then put in positions of power over people who they don't actually necessarily understand exactly what those people are doing. Fortunately, Johansson realized that he was being a moron and later retracted his comments that companies might be wound up. "Hold your horses," he wrote in English on Twitter. "Before you run the campaign too far, I want to clarify that I am not currently proposing the dissolution of companies." So what happens when companies are forced to meet gender quotas? Well, fortunately, New York has already shown us. Woman to become New York firefighter despite failing crucial fitness test. The FDNY, for the first time in its history, will allow someone who failed its crucial physical fitness test to join the bravest because she has a vagina. Rebecca Wax is set to graduate Tuesday from the Fire Academy without passing the Functional Skills Training Test, a grueling obstacle course of job-related tasks performed in full gear with a limited air supply. They're going to allow the first person to graduate without passing because this administration has lowered the standard, said an insider who is familiar with the training. Upon graduation, Wax would be assigned to a firehouse and tasked with the full duties of a firefighter. What could possibly go wrong? Unsurprisingly, some FDNY members are angry. "We're being asked to go into a fire with someone who isn't 100% qualified," the source said. "Our job is a team effort. If there's a weak link in the chain, either civilians or our members can die." But a really important thing to point out in this article is that while Wax fell short, 2 other female probies in the graduating class passed the FST with flying colours. "They're kicking butt. They're doing better than 50% of the class," the insider said. "When they get assigned to a firehouse, they'll be welcomed with open arms because they've done what everyone else has gone through." Other female firefighters, rather unsurprisingly, aren't pleased about Wax's treatment either. "A lot of girls in the field are pissed because they feel like they're getting lumped into the same category of a female getting special treatment and not meeting the same standards as the males," the insider said. "It devalues what the women in the field have accomplished." The FST must be completed within 17 minutes, 50 seconds or less. Despite many attempts over the Fire Academy's 18-week training course, Wax completed the test just once, but it took her more than 22 minutes. In numerous tries, Wax struggled and was too slow. While fit probies finished with air left in their tanks, she had to stop when hers ran out. "She's in the best shape of her life, and it's still not good enough," the source said. But this isn't the first time that Wax has had a big break in her careers. Wax previously received another break to join the FDNY after pleading in June 2011 for a city council bill that raised the age limit from 29 to 35 for applicants like her who first took the entrance exam in 2007, a hiring freeze imposed by federal judge Nicholas Garalfis in the discrimination suit put them in limbo. I want nothing more than to be a New York City firefighter, Wax, then 29, had testified at the hearing. How many other people were at that hearing, I wonder, or was it just her? Last December, Fire Commissioner Daniel Nigro told a City Council hearing on the FDNY's efforts to recruit women that he had changed FST requirements to lower obstacles. He also indicated he wanted to act before a possible sex discrimination lawsuit after the city paid $98 million to settle a lawsuit that accused the FDNY of discriminating against minorities. So, yeah, the requirement for the obstacle test has been lowered because vagina. And just to twist the rules even further, under the FDNY's new hiring policy, probies must earn at least 75% on the combined requirements of academic, hands-on skill, and physical fitness. So basically, you can totally fail any one of those modules, and as long as the other two are good enough, you will become a firefighter, despite maybe either not having the physical fitness, not possessing the skill, or not having the actual know-how to do it. Rebecca Wax, you do not want to be a New York City firefighter. If you genuinely wanted that, you would have ensured that your fitness was at the necessary standard. I have worked jobs in the past that had a fitness standard. I am going to work jobs in the future that have a fitness standard. And I was not always at those fitness standards. You know what I did? Instead of stamping my feet and bitching about it and saying it was unfair, I got myself to those fitness standards. Because that is what you do when you want to get a job that has objective fitness criteria. But you don't actually want this job. You want the prestige of the job. You want to be able to say, I'm a New York City firefighter, and get all of the inherent respect that comes from doing a dangerous job while having to not actually put in any of the work to get that job. The sad part is, because she cannot meet these fitness criteria, someone else is going to die. And I do not envy you, Rebecca, because you are going to have to look someone in the eye when they ask, why couldn't you get my family out? And you are going to have to tell them, because I was too lazy. I was too bone idle to go to the gym and improve my fitness to such a level where I could actually do my job. My selfish feelings about wanting the job title of firefighter was more important to me than the lives of your family. And that is what this comes down to. Rather than simply accepting that you were not fit enough for the career, that maybe it wasn't the job for you, maybe you just aren't physically built for it. No, your sense of ego, your sense of pride is too much, and other people are going to pay the price for your arrogance. Congratulations, feminism. You have now got us to the point where a woman's feelings are more important than the lives of other people. And this woman's sense of entitlement is going to get innocent people killed.